And welcome to another edition of Christopher's Kitchen, and today a little creative and simple at the same time. It's English bread and butter pudding.
Yeah, very simple recipe, but a great classic treat for English. I used to work on the yachts, you know, and so most all the staffs were British, so I had experience cooking things that they love. So this is one thing that they love, and you have to do it right, is an English bread and butter pudding. We call it bread pudding, but this is a little bit different. First what we do is, I'm just going to butter this. Now I've got a pound of softened butter here. I'm going to butter this pan. And I've taken some white bread, Mike, but this is not like Mrs. Baird's. This is a really firm bread. Today I'm using, I think this is like Earth Grains or something like that, but it's called a buttermilk bread. This is buttermilk. And Petrus Farm also makes a sweet buttermilk bread.
Is that because of the texture, flavor, what reason?
Texture, mainly. Yeah, that white bread will just break up. Sorry, Mrs. Baird's, but it will break up. So I've got this, this bread here, and I'm just going to butter both sides of this with this softened butter. So we are going to take these layers of buttered bread, and I'm going to alternate. I've got some granulated sugar going to put in here. And then today, for a little bit of fun, because people really like it, I'm going to do a little bit of white chocolate chips. So I've got a layer of white chocolate chips here, and then we just repeat with the buttered bread. So just a few white chocolate chips just like that. Come back in with the bread. Okay. Put some more butter on those layers there. Really get them good all the way to the corners. And then you're going to repeat with more sugar and more white chocolate chips so you get all the way to the top. Now once you've got your layers of buttered bread, sugar, white chocolate chips, you're now ready for the finishing layer. Now we don't want to put any white chocolate on the top or sugar on the top because that may burn. Okay, so we're just going to put our top layer of buttered bread here. I've just got nice little rectangles. You can use triangles, fit them in some kind of way. Any sort of pattern that you like there would be great. Now, Mike, that is that's why we want to leave this bread just like that. So we've got sugar, buttered bread in there, alternate with white chocolate chips or any flavor that you like. You could use fresh raspberries. You could use raisins and cinnamon. But I'm doing just a traditional, well actually I guess it's not so traditional, I put white chocolate in it. I think traditional one would have no white chocolate, just bread and butter. Now we're going to make the custard that you would put in that. So what I've got here is 8 eggs and 1 quart of cream. That's the standard ratio, even for a quiche.
And this is serving how many people, Christopher?
Well, it's going to make that full pan there, so I think you could serve 12 people on that pretty easily. Just going to take these eggs with a quart of cream, and that makes our custard. Now, because this is sweet, I'm going to add just a touch more sugar, just probably about a quarter cup there, just to make sure it's sweet. Now, I'm just going to pour this custard mix right on top of that bread and just let that soak right in.
I notice you're being very deliberate when you pour that out. Are you letting it spread to the corners? Or I know you're paying attention to it now. What's the technique in just starting at the middle?
There was no technique at all. I'm just making sure it doesn't spill over or anything, run off the side. See, if it doesn't soak it up, it'll just run off the side. So now it'll all get to the corners. I'm going to smash it here in the middle here in just a minute. Okay, now if you're doing this for guests that you have coming over, make sure you use rubber gloves. But since this is just for Mike, I'm just going to press that down, making sure that all that custard is being absorbed by the bread, because you want it really, really wet. Now, as this sits a little bit, this will begin to, this will absorb the rest of that liquid. So we'll let that sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. Now we're going to pop that in the oven for, at a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes until that top gets golden brown and the center is cooked there. Okay. Now your bread pudding comes out, it gets very souffle-like, but that will all go down. Just need to let this sit before you try to cut it, probably 15 minutes or so. It'll still be nice and warm. Now, I know people take a big spoon and cut into it right now, and that's fine too. But before I cut this, I'd like to let it sit just a little bit, let it collapse a little bit, and relax a little bit. Now we're ready to serve this. You don't have to cut this into squares or anything. It's nice. I love the corner pieces, of course, but it's nice just right out of the pan, just a big old spoon. Man, this is just tender and delicious. Now I've got a little creme on glaze or a little melted vanilla ice cream, if you want, on the plate there. Gonna dust that with a little powdered sugar. And I just love this because it's white chocolate. Raspberries and white chocolate to me just should be together all the time. So I've got a couple of red raspberries here. And I tell you what, I'll just put a little mint leaf on there for garnish. And that is just a delicious English-style dessert. So you see, it's not that, doesn't have to be difficult to taste great, look great. It's just something that you can do ahead of time, keep it in your fridge, and then bake it when you're ready to. Like I said, it only takes 45 minutes, and it's something simple and tastes great.
Looks like you have options for variety, too, with the chocolate that you used today and anything else.
Absolutely. Get creative with it. You can put anything in those layers. It'll be great.
All right, and again, if you'd like to get this recipe or any others that we feature on Christopher's Kitchen, go to kbtx.com, click onto the food page, and you can download those, and your meals will never be the same. Easy ways to make them creative. Thanks to Christopher Lampo. Thanks for joining us on Christopher's Kitchen.